Hi everybody, and welcome to my next edition of Match Memories. Again, I'd like to start by thanking everyone for their kind messages. It's fantastic to read a lot of them. A lot of people that I don't really know, but a lot of people that I do know really enjoying me going over some of the big matches. The last one went down really well, and it's fantastic to see that it's not just the talking about fishing, it's the what I like to call the guts of match fishing. You know, the real important things that if you can understand and start to take on board will stand you in very good stead. For today's match memories, I'm going to go back to 2015, and it's not an international match, it's a domestic match with my obviously domestic team, Darwin Dorking. It's the 2015 Division 1 National on the Gloucester Canal. Now obviously this match led on to us qualifying. I've sort of given away the result then, but a lot of you probably know anyway. But this actually led to us qualifying for the World Club Championships in Italy, where we actually ultimately went on to win the event. So fantastic. But like I say, Division 1 National on the Gloucester Canal. Now my love affair, so to speak, with the Gloucester Canal goes back many years. It's a venue that I just love. You know, when you go to some venues and you're like, I like it here. Sometimes you go to venues and you just don't like it for some reason. But the Gloucester Canal, I've always loved. And I first started fishing the Gloucester Canal back when I was 14, 15 with the Farnborough team. And I remember my first memories of fishing the place was on a Winter League semi-final. And I actually drew next to Ivan Marks. I was only 15. You know, an angling hero of mine. And I actually beat him on bloodworm. I think I had just under £3 of roach and he had just over £2. Very difficult. But again, I think it's the big, wild, you know, type venue. Although it's man-made, it's got that big, deep feel to it. You know, almost a little bit daunting. But I think that's the advantage for good anglers. When you understand it, you know, you're not almost scared of it. The depths and that don't worry you. The tow, the boats, you know, you accept it all and just get on with the fishing. You're at a major advantage to a lot of people. So like I say, that was a lot of years ago when I was 15. And I went on and fished various matches there, UK leagues. The year that I won the UK... No, the year before I won the UK, there was a round there, and I actually came second in the match and won my section. 2 or 3 big eels, and you know, a couple of skimmers. Difficult fishing again. You know, like a lot of people that just fish commercial fishing. You know, like if you don't catch £100, you're disappointed. Back in those days, I think I was second in the UK match with about £8. Fantastic fishing. And just a style of fishing that I really do love. So like I say, I've known the Gloucester Canal. I know its moods. I've got a lot of notes in the Faithful book, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to go over some of the things that I've made notes of over the years. But the 2015 National with Darwin Dorking was something that I think we all fancied. You know, you got anglers in the team like at the time like Ian Didcott. Obviously Simon Willsmore, Des, Callum, me, you know, Lee Edwards, the list goes on of high class anglers. And to say that we fancied it was probably an understatement. Not only have you got anglers like myself that have fished it, you know, a lot over the years, but also anglers like Callum and Des that have fished it no end back in the days when, you know, people like Des were with Thatchers. You've got Ian Didcott, who probably knows the venue, you know, better than anybody. So like I say, to say that we sort of fancied it was a bit of an understatement. We'd had a good little run in nationals, so confidence was high, and like I've said, I always speak about confidence and confidence being important. But I remember us getting together one day and we all said, right, you know, we're going to give this a real good go. We want to try and qualify for the World Clubs. But more importantly, we want to try and win the Division 1 National again as a team. So, around about a month or so before, the Gloucester Canal pretty much took over my fishing. I think I travelled there about 12, 14 times. Sometimes just to fish. I remember one day I met Callum there and we just fished all day. Again, just trying things, asking each other questions, bouncing things off each other. You know, eliminating things as well as underlining things. So important. And a few little things came to light. Now, what I want to concentrate on, and again, you'll know the way that I talk about these big matches, you have to catch those section winning fish, those big fish, the bonus fish, the important fish. But I just want to spend a little bit talking about the small fish, and there were quite a few bleak and little roach and little rudd even in areas, and you could catch these on a long whip, or if the wind was a bit naughty you could catch them short lining. And I think it was the RAF National, or maybe the individual national. I actually drew next to Sean Ashby, who's very good on those small fish. And you know, we had a good laugh like me and Sean always do, and we actually tied on weight. I'm sure we had 5:15.8. So a brilliant match and a brilliant day. But that just goes to show feeding little balls of cloudy mix, sensor surface I was using, loose feeding a few pinkies, and just short lining, catching bleak, roach, and probably well over 200 fish. They were only small for this weight. But I don't want to spend too long talking about these small fish, because although they were important if you're in an area where there was no bonus fish, we felt as a team that the bonus fish were gonna be the you know, the key to us winning this event. And after all, you know, like, to win these big team matches, you do need good results. You need section wins. You need top 5 finishes. You know, because you're always going to get 1 or 2 bad pegs, people halfway or lower in the section, and these section wins almost carry those people. So, again, going back now, I learnt a very valuable lesson, and it was off a Darwin Gordon League guy. And again, I can't remember what it was. I think I was next to Sean in the RAF National, the teams of 4. And in the individual national, I drew about peg 260, 270, which is down way past Hempstead Bend, a bit near a pilot, but again, a good little area for some bream. It's a little bit wider there. Most of the canal's 30 to 35 metres wide, 15 foot, 14 foot deep in the middle, with shelves coming back, but the shelves do vary. And you might have noticed in a lot of my videos, not just the match memories, but any articles or informational DVDs I do, I talk a lot about finding the correct bottom to fish on. It's got to be clean, especially where bream are involved. Carp and commercials, it's a little bit different, but the same sort of guidelines do apply. But I'm talking now about the Gloucester Canal and trying to catch these bigger fish, these skimmers, bream, and these big roach. For years I've known the Gloucester, you know, like, you try to fish as long as you can towards the boat channel. Keep the shells you will catch roach on, but the bream tend to be out a bit. Now, it's real warm build up to this match, and like I say, I've drawn about peg 270, and a few things came to light, but I want to talk about the pole to begin with. Every match you'd like to start on a feeder, hopefully catch a few fish, and then obviously go on the pole. And this particular match, my peg, it went down to about 10 metres, just sloping gently, and then it just levelled off, and then that was the canal bed, and it was about 14.5, 15 foot deep. So again, I cut some ground bait there with worms, started on the feeder, but I'll talk about the feeder separately in a minute, because it's very important to understand both aspects, and I don't want to flip and flirt between two. So I'm going to talk about the pole, and I'm going to talk about one of the most valuable lessons that I learned that really did contribute, you know, a major part to us doing very well in this match, and myself in particular. So anyway, I was aware of this Darwin Gordon League. It was a couple of pegs to my right. I think there was one angler in between us. And the advantage when people, you know, so many people now have got Darwin poles, you know, that they've just got the reputation of being very good, but also, you know, it's a pole that I use, you know, and because of the amount of people, you can tell what length they're fishing at. Obviously, it's 11 metres before they put the first silver section on, and then 2 silver sections, it's 40. So it's very easy just at a glance to tell what length they're fishing. I'm fishing 14.5. I've got the front rest in so I can hold my float very, very still. And I could see him potting some ground bait in, and he just had like 11 metres of pole in his section. I'm like, well, that's up the shelf, you know, like, didn't really think anything of it. Anyway, this particular day, I think I had about £9, and this guy had nearly 20. And he caught some nice big bream, and he caught them short on the pole. And I'm like, I wonder if he's caught them up the shelf. And I'm looking, and I'm thinking, well, you know, like the shelf sort of varies, and this, that, and the other. And I thought, I know what I'm going to do. And again, this goes back to keeping your eyes and ears open and watching and trying to get information off of other people. So I weighed in my fish, and I just like chucked my feeder back out, and I'm sat there. I'm not in any real rush home. Everybody's gone. So I've taken my pole up to his peg, plumbed up at 11 metres, which I know is the distance he's fished. And sure enough, it's a foot shallower than the bed of the canal. So he's fished up on that shelf. And although it's sloping down, it's very smooth. You know, all the wash from the boats, all the tow has just cleaned it off, and it was very, very, very smooth. Now come to another match, which was the following, I think that was the Wednesday, the individual national. Now on the Saturday, I've drawn even further down out in the wilderness a bit, pegged 400 and something. Now I can't wait to feed this pole line. I'm going to look for the shelf. I'm going to fish just up it, a metre up it, where it's a foot shallower, hopefully. Do my feeder thing. And cut a long story short, I came about third in the match with 40 odd pound of bream, all caught on the pole, up the shelf, and immediately, ding. You've got that confidence. You think you know something that a lot of other people don't. But this time, people are all still fishing out into the boat channel, where it's a little bit of debris on the bottom's a bit softer, it's not clean. And straight away, we felt we had an advantage on the pole. Using the Gloucester floats, which is a float that I helped design a few years ago now. Absolutely perfect, obviously, for the Gloucester, hence its name. Excuse me, I rushed the coffee down before I did this. Got a little bit of a hiccups and that going on, but it's a fantastic float for anywhere where you suffer with a little bit of tow from right to left or vice versa, because the actual wire and the heaviness of the bristle as well just makes the float so stable. Now I want to talk about the feeder. So again, was fishing braid, looking for little liners, nice soft tournament 11-foot rods, using the tournament braid 010, an 8-pound shock leader, only like 12 foot. But one thing again became apparent, and I remember again thinking to myself, well, if that's where they are on the pole, that's where they've got to be over there. And that's a brilliant way to think about things. You know, what can be right on the pole, the right bait, you know, the right depth of water to fish in, the right area to fish in, quite often will tell you a lot about where to fish on a feeder or a waggler or whatever else you want to do. So always take on board, you know, you might find something out on the feeder. Well, that's going to be relevant to the pole. Okay, you're going to feed it different, you're going to present it different. But say you're fishing and you start putting a lot of worms through your feeder and you start catching, worms are going to be right on the pole. So always remember that. You know, take, you know, one tactic to the other and vice versa. And I can remember I went on another match and I drawn a real wide bit. It was just out of the bay, about peg 70, going to the right of Hempstead. You park down this lane. And I thought to myself, I'm going to plumb up with an ounce bomb. I'm going to chuck it right across, and I'm just going to pull it. And with braid, it's fantastic. Because, you know, an ounce and a half bomb, if it gets in that soft bottom, it just takes a little bit of pulling through it. And I literally cast across and just edged it down the shelf, and it's coming down the shelf, almost like rolling back down towards you, and it's coming down quite quick, and then it goes donk, and you're like, right, that's the bottom of the shelf. So I literally peeled 1.5 meters off, clipped up, wound it in, chucked it out, and it went donk. And as I pulled it, I could just feel it trundling, and I thought, right, that is definitely the spot where, you know, I would, if I was over there fishing a pole, that's the spot that I'd want to fish. And I can fish it from this bank. So now, as you can imagine, what I've found out on the pole by watching this Darwell Gordon League guy, I'd put it to use. I'd caught £40 in one match, come third. But now I've taken it to the next level. So in my peg, I haven't got one area where I'm fishing like that. I've got two, because that's the area I'm targeting on the feeder as well. Again, maximising your chances. Now I've got two areas exactly the same. And at this match in particular, it fished dreadful where I was, but I caught 4 big skimmers all on the feeder for £7 and won the section. And to say that the confidence levels went from high to higher were, you know, an understatement. And I remember the vibe in the team. Everybody's catching fish, everybody's doing well. Some people don't draw so well and there's no big fish, but they catch 1 or 2 better fish and then a weight of other fish. And confidence was ultimately, you know, just so high. And I can remember at this point was, you know, I had some ground bait from Tamas Water, and it was very, very active, and I was mixing this with a little bit of fish meal, and it was like a dark but active mix. Now, obviously, time on the bank is very, very important. And by this, I don't just mean practice, but I mean looking at the venue, finding out little things like where do you park if you draw here, you know, where do you go, and it is so important, so that in the morning of the match you're nice and organised. And like I say, time on the bank, and by that the most important time on the bank is when you get to your peg. You've heard me talk about this a lot, right back to the one that the World Championships in Finland, get your gear set up, because when you need to start finding an area on the pole, that's okay. You can put a rig on, you can drop it in, and you can locate that area just up the shelf where the bottom's a bit cleaner very, very quickly. However, trying to do it on a feeder can be a lot harder, but it's obviously of utmost importance that you get it dead right. No mistakes can be made. You need to locate these areas in your peg, and the best way to do it, to be confident that you're in the right place, is to give yourself as much time. So preparation with rigs. I remember I had 4 feeder rods made up. I had a feeding rod, obviously my measuring sticks. I had unbelievable amount of Darwell Gloucester, the Carper Gloucester floats made up. It's the only float I was using for these bigger fish. I had some whips made up and some small fish rigs. So now I want to go on to the actual match itself. And I actually drew right in the middle of this pound, so there's a massive lock, and then you go down and there's a bridge below in the 400s again. And I fancied it, just walking to my peg, and the plan was to put in 5 or 6 feederfuls of ground bait straight away across on that clean bottom, just going up the shelf. Wherever it was, it did sort of vary from area to area, and then the same on the pole. And then obviously we had a small fish line short just over any weed, just to catch these little bleak and this, that and the other. But the plan was to be positive for big fish early, and if you didn't catch one, then obviously you could start targeting these small fish. So I get to my peg right in the middle of this pound. Didn't look any better, didn't look any worse. And I sat there, and as I remember, it was every other peg. And what's nice sometimes, and you know, I love fishing big matches. I love the pressure. I love drawing next to these good anglers. But sometimes it's a little bit surreal when you go to these matches and you sat all on your own and there's no one about. It's quite nice, really. You can actually enjoy your fishing. And first and foremost, that's what it's about for me, enjoying your fishing. Whether I go up the canal for an evening's pleasure fishing, trying to catch some roach, or, you know, if I go and try and catch a barbel on the River Loddon, which I did a little bit last winter. It's important to enjoy your fishing. And I remember getting to my peg, and there's these rushes, like these wispy rushes, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, does look nice. I've got a bit of weed across, and like where is everyone? And like, you stand back on the towpath and you're like, oh yeah, there's a guy there and there's a guy there, and check your peg number. Yeah, I'm definitely in the right place. So anyway, the feeder rods were set up, the baiting rod was set up with a slightly bigger feeder on where I could just chuck across. Found this place, marked it out on my sticks, which I do a lot now, just for added accuracy. So I've got my 2 or 3 feeder rods ready. Couple of pole rigs for this line. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I was fishing yellow hydro, again decent fish. 011-7, the old trusty double strength. A 560 16 hook, so we're not messing around, you know, like, they're decent fish. Always on the Gloucester as well. When you think, I think I need a 2 gram float, use a 2.5. If you think you need a 1.5, use a 2 for these bigger fish, because stability is vitally important. Not too much line on the bottom, 5 or 6 inches. And red worms again, thanks Stretch again. She sorted me out big time for the national, as he did a lot of the guys. Red worms are unbelievably important. So you're feeding this ground bait short with quite a bit of chop worm, few dead pinkies, casters, really setting a trap of bait, and the same on the feeder. But 4 like inch pieces of a red worm was absolutely deadly. So the match started, and this is how and bearing in mind, we'd sort of heaped the pressure on ourselves a little bit, because obviously, you know, we practiced a lot, we'd all done well, and people were sort of expecting you to win. And when that happens, there can be a bit of pressure on you. But again, I'm the kind of angler that thrives on pressure. I absolutely love it. And just couldn't wait. So the match has started. 5 or 6 feeder falls were deposited on this area of the, just going up the far shelf. 5 or 6 big balls of ground bait, again to set that trap in the same area. So if you can imagine the canal's coming down like this, you've got the 2 shells. I've got bait here on my shelf, we're fishing the pole, and then bait on the, just going up the shelf for the feeder. Ultimately confident. I put in some softer ground bait short, and hoping that I could catch a fish early, like a decent fish. So literally done this, picked my feeder rod up, 4 bits of a red, but I think 4 bits just seems to, I've got all the notes here, I'll soon be able to tell you. This is the beauty of this. This is the beauty of this. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm not really sure, I think this, I think that. Gloucester Canal 2015 Division 1 National, peg, page 39. So you can see the sort of detail again that's gone into. I've even sellotaped here some of the directions and postcodes that we got. Vitally important. Not going to change if I go back, or when I go back there. Let me just check this. The very best bait was 3 pieces of small red worm and a fluoro pinky. I knew that there was something else. So, start of the national, I fed my lines, picked my feeder rod up, 013 and a 16 hook. I was actually using a Drennan wide gape on the feeder, something a little bit more manly, just to give me that little bit more security. Bearing in mind we're fishing braid with a shock leader. The braid was more to see indications of fish there than bite indications. When you got a bite, it was quite a positive pull. So it's more a case of the braid's there for bite, for indications of fish being in your peg. Because if you got little liners and that, you wanted to literally just sit and wait and wait and wait, and then you would get a bite. So the plan was hopefully catch a decent fish in the first hour. Pick the feeder rod up, 3 or 4 bits of red worm, a fluoro pinky, filled the feeder up, cast it across. Literally it's gone bump, dunk. I thought fantastic. Put the rod down, just tightening up to it, and again it's one of those moments in my match fishing past where I can remember it as if it just happened. Cast out, feeder's hit the bottom, tightened up to it, and I'm trying to tighten up to it, and it's just gone. I thought, I don't, and I picked it up, and I've got a 4-pound ream on. To say it was a fantastic start would be an understatement. And my match, it was a little bit crash bang wallop, and it's all over. Caught 5 or 6 decent bream, not all 4 pounds. Some of them you know, between £1.50 and £4. But I remember the first fish was my biggest one. Caught 5 or 6 early on the feeder, then dropped it in on the pole. As soon as they'd gone on the feeder, again you're getting these little indications, and then it just goes to nothing. You know they've gone. 2 or 3 more feeder falls across, in on the pole, and I caught a £2 bream, caught a hybrid, caught a couple of decent skimmers, and then they were gone. And it was one of those days where the sun's out, it's bright, it's hot, you know, all wrong for bream really. But I'd done the damage. I'd done the damage early on. I think I weighed just under 10 kilo, came second in the section. And again, you can't beat that feeling of when you put work in. You dedicate a large chunk of time to a venue and it pays off. You cannot beat that feeling. And to get back, and the whole team had done well. I think we scored 356 points, which, you know, really did annihilate the match. All the team doing well, fantastically well. You know, at the time, you know, like lads like Michael Buckwalder, Des, like I've said, you know, Ian Didcott, their experiences on the venue, their class as anglers, you know, really did pay off. And, you know, again, to see Steve Sanders there with, you know, the team, and you just cannot beat that sense of, you know, togetherness that team fishing brings, and especially success in team fishing brings. So, like I say again, I've got all the notes. I'll just read you. Just like to, some nights I just sit in here and I just go through it with the Gloucester Canal. I set up always set up 3 feeder rods, one for feeding, blah 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 blah. Again, best hook baits. When the oh, here's a good one as well. Yeah, here's a good one. And it's little things like this that are so valuable. The Gloucester Canal can be affected by rain, i.e. colour. The water can colour up very fast. If this is the case, we've found that lots of chop worm can pull fish into your peg. If the water is clear, back down on the chop worm. It's little things like this. You know, if there was a match there tomorrow, I could consult my book. Not only have I got some of the directions, this is, yeah, again, this is for the Winter League final on there. All the ones from Hempstead. It's got all the directions, all the postcodes that I've actually highlighted. Unbelievable. You know, the value I put in that book is unbelievable. And it just goes to show, and I know I repeat myself a bit in these, saying that you have to make notes, but it's good if I show you, you know, the advantages there straight away. I've got the directions, I know exactly what to do. If I'm not too sure, like I wasn't about the hook bait, I just had that feeling that we did something else with it, and it was a dead fluoro pinky. So a fantastic result for us to win the Division 1 National, which ultimately led to us going to Italy on the Gloucester Canal and winning the World Club Championships, which, as I've already spoke about, was definitely Darwin Dawkins' finest moment. Again, I'd like to thank you all for your kind messages. Hope you're all out there fishing. I've been fishing a lot myself, been on the canal a few evenings, caught a few roach. I actually caught £14 of roach on hemp the other night. Fantastic evenings fishing. Went at about 3 o'clock. Told everyone at home I'd be home about 7:30, 8, and walked in nearly 10 o'clock. Caught a nice hybrid on hemp as well. So there's a lot of fishing to be had out there. Congratulations to those of you that have qualified for these big money finals. I'm actually going to start fishing a few next week myself. So can't wait for that. Really looking forward to it. Still waiting to hear about the World Pairs. Might even go to Ireland for a couple of weeks. Going to speak to Thomas about that in the week and see if he fancies staying on for another week to fish a festival. So fingers crossed. Like I say, really enjoying my fishing at the moment. Trying a new few products out for Darwa, which are going to hit the market pretty soon, which I think will be an absolute jaw dropper for a lot of people. Fantastic products coming out from Darwa. But until then, Tight lines, look after yourself, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.